Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Standing in Strength Summit number 2. I am your host, the Power Lady, Larnie Mulvey, and just reflecting on the speakers that were on yesterday, the power speakers that were on yesterday. And oh my goodness, after the second session ended, I was like, wow, that was awesome. And I was riding high definitely until I went to bed, because it was an amazing group of people who shared the value of the strength that they have inside them, but also how it intertwines with their daily lives, with their businesses, with entrepreneurship, with leadership, mentoring other people and coaching other people. And it was awesome. And that's really the purpose of the Standing in Strength Summits, is to make sure that there is a connection with people. There is an outlet. There is a resource for people to build themselves and understand that they are stronger than they think they are. What I really learned through my entrepreneurship journey, as I'm still going through it and am still learning, there are so many resources out there for people to understand and to ask, and to know that, when I started, I didn't know that there were all these resources. And the Standing in Strength Summit, the first summit that I did in October of 2020 during COVID times, it was a great way to get my feet wet, but also to learn from a lot of the mentors that I have almost kind of built, and like the wise counsel that I have built throughout this time. And I've had people like Crystal Richardson and Dawn Bates who helped me realize that there are so many opportunities out there, and that I can be the greatest version of myself. And so those two people are really someone that I look up to, because it is, they know that there is that potential. And now I'm sharing that idea with you. I'm sharing that same value that I didn't know that I had. I'm sharing that with everyone else. And that is the reason why the Power Lady came up, because the idea of knowing my own internal power, I want to share that with everyone. I want to share my strength with you. And when I get to talk about strength, I love talking about all realms of strength. So when I get a chance to talk about it, and when I get a chance to share, I will do it. And it makes me very happy. So I'm so glad that I am able to do that with this summit. So one thing I wanted to make sure everybody is, anyone who has signed up through the Eventbrite links, let me say that a little slower. If you have registered through there, you will be getting a lot of the tools and the recordings that were happening on these 3 days, because we want to make sure you can get the replays and re-watch all the cool stuff. And if you're part of the Strong and Mighty group, you will be able to get the contact information for the speakers as well, because that is something that is important for everyone. Like there were so many speakers yesterday, and it was only the first day, and there was so much value that I took notes. I have to rewatch my own videos, because I know that there were a lot of the speakers. I was like, oh, I took a lot of mental notes, but I want to make sure I heard them correctly, and I made sure that I am taking notes. So the one thing that I wanted to also share is that if you guys have any questions for me, or if you're looking for any event speaking or anything like that, I am available, because I love to be able to share stories about strength, but also empowering people, and empowering especially women, and the women coming up, the younger generation coming up, want to make sure that they know that they are valuable. And I love building people's self-belief and self-confidence. So, reach out to me if you guys have any speaking engagements or anything like that you think I'd fit in. And one other thing I wanted to note is, I don't think I even talked about it on the first day, but my book, Standing in Strength, is out at the moment. You can get it on all the Amazon links and all booksellers because it is available internationally and people can read it. And here is the book right here. This is my copy. I actually did read my own book, so there's even flags on here for that. And this book has a collaborative book with 7 authors, including myself. And a lot of the authors in here, they're all women, and they share their journey. They share their story of overcoming obstacles and how they found their inner strength through movement, through activity, through sport. And that is something that I hold near and dear for myself, because my journey growing up, I am Asian American. I am an immigrant. I came here from the Philippines when I was 5 years old. And that was, I want to say it was in the 80s. And there was no representation of a woman, an Asian American woman, who I felt like I wanted to be, or I wanted to, oh, you know what? That's someone that I want to be. So I ended up having to build her. And this is the person that you see today. This is the confident woman that you see today. And it is, it's been a great journey, but it has also been a rough journey, because growing up, I did have to find myself a little bit and understand that I am me, and I had to learn to build the person that I wanted to be, the one that I wanted to visualize myself wanting to be. So, and it's been a great ride. So when I was in high school, I actually went through a time in my life where I had no identity. Like I felt like I didn't have an identity. If I could show you guys the pictures of what I was like freshman through senior year, oh my gosh, the pictures were so like, there are so many different pictures and different looks that I went through, because I was just conforming to whatever I wanted to, like be accepted. And I didn't have my own personal identity. And there's a lot of times that I hid myself because I didn't want to be seen, because I didn't know how to be seen. So learning this about myself and having to go through some depression, having to go through the suicidal thoughts and, the attempts that I had as well, I really had to dig deep growing up to make sure I was still here to be able to talk with you guys on virtual time. So it's been a great ride. If you guys want to know a little bit more of my story, it's in this book. I am the first chapter, and Courtney Olson from Girl Clothing, she actually wrote the foreword to this book, and that was definitely like, oh my God, I'm so glad that she was able to write that forward for me, because it was a Hail Mary. It's like, oh my God, Courtney Olson has no idea who I am, but I'm going to ask her anyway. So when it comes to finding strength and bravery, that was definitely something that I had to dig deep for. And you know what? Sometimes when you dig deep and channel your inner bravery and your inner strength, sometimes you get the courage to ask, and sometimes people say yes. And Courtney Olson definitely did say yes, and I was so excited to talk with her. So today we have an awesome lineup again. This morning we have a few speakers that were part of the book Standing in Strength, and I can't wait to talk with them here in a little bit. So stay tuned, and I will be back with our first guest, and just keep on just sitting and waiting for a second, and I will be right back. I am back. Let me tell you all, yesterday there was a technical glitch with my camera and I had to do all this resetting. Oh my goodness gracious. But hey, you know what? We roll on. That's what being strong is. You just keep pushing forward and you roll on and you adapt. Especially yesterday, Annie Gibbons was on. She's like, you know what? If things go wrong, you just keep going and you just keep going. And that's exactly what I did. So my first guest, my first power speaker today is Heidi Donnell. I'm going to bring her on here really quick, but just giving you guys a little bit of a backstory about how I met Heidi. You know, I was in a phase in my life where I was like, you know what, I really want to do something else, do something strong. So I first got into podcasts, into like listening to podcasts, and all of a sudden I on the podcast search, I was like, you know, strong women podcasts, and her podcast, The Future is Female Powerlifting, came on, and I was like, you know, I'll listen to that. 2 hours later, trying to drive somewhere, and I think I binge listened about like 10 episodes because I was like, oh, this is amazing. So I'm going to bring her on because she is definitely one of the people that influenced me to start powerlifting and to understand, like, okay, I can be strong. You know, all the ideas of being strong in my head were there, but now I'm listening to a podcast that's all strong female powerlifters. I was like, bam, this is it. So I'm going to bring on Heidi Donnell, and there we
are. You're so funny because I feel like I've had the same issue this morning where you're like, you know, the show must go on, but life happens. And I slipped on to totally sidetrack, but I slipped on a dryer sheet right before I walked in. Oh my God. Nothing makes you feel older than like almost pulling a muscle on a dryer sheet.
Oh my gosh, that is, you know what, I'm not gonna lie, I'm having like groin issues, so I haven't been able to squat, and I did that the other day in my laundry room. I was like, oh.
And I was holding coffee and water. It's a great morning.
Well, yeah, good morning, Heidi.
Good morning.
How are you?
We are good. We're here and present, ready to rock and roll.
So it's raining and gloomy over here. Last night was one of those crazy thunderstormy nights, and I was like, oh my God, my power better not go out. I have to do my summit starting at 9 o'clock. So anyway, so Heidi, like, tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and some tidbits. I'm talking about you to you forever, but I know we got a time crunch. So,
well, you know us. We'll talk. That's the problem. So, you know, I am currently a mom, a wife, a gym owner. I host the Future is Female Powerlifting podcast, and that's how Larnie and I discovered each other, as she was saying. And I've been in the fitness industry for maybe about like 12 years now. My degree is in fitness. I took a very different turn in the beginning of my 20s. I actually went into makeup and that route. And it was really good for me. And then, you know, life happens. Went through a divorce, went through a lot of changes, and that sort of was like a wake-up call for me. So my life went back to fitness, and that's where, through the years of personal training and all that stuff, I ended up where I am today. And I would say that being an entrepreneur, I own my own gym now. Being an entrepreneur, and I have to say, once I became a personal trainer and I was my own boss, it was really hard to want to go back to not being my own boss, you know. And so I hope today that we get to talk a little bit about entrepreneurship, women in strength, and how that helps. And I did want to share some things that I would say the last couple of years have really helped me with the business, and it's little things that I do every day, every quarter, business wise, that I think has really, I think, set more focus in what I'm doing. Because in the beginning, it's kind of like, what am I doing? I've never owned a gym before. I've been a trainer. I can train people, but owning a business is like a whole nother realm. Totally different.
Totally different.
Yeah. And but anyway, so that's.
I think what's really cool about you, for me, is, you know, now that I'm doing these summits and we're talking about realms of strength, and now I'm like learning more about being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
it's like you have the best of both worlds in my eyes. Like you get to give people the fitness part. You get to give the coaching for the health and wellness, but then you're really doing the strength physically and then the strength for your business. So it all like, comes together. Like, how do you balance all that?
It does feel very harmonious now. And
Let's talk about in the beginning how it was.
It was, well, I own the business with my husband, right? And so that's the worst thing you could do is get into a business with your husband, right? It's like, I will say this, Asian families, right? We do a lot of things together. So like you hire you hire your cousins, your mom, your mother-in-law, they do the whatever it is. And so that's to me, like not necessarily different, and we both come from Asian. I come from a Latin background as well. So it's all there. I think that I was worried in the beginning going into business with my husband, and it all worked out wonderfully. In fact, I think it made us a lot closer and we're able to balance things a little bit better nowadays. But yeah, in the beginning, it was crazy. We've never owned a business. I'd done tons of events. I did event management stuff. So I kind of had an idea of, systems and processes and automations and things like that, but I had no idea. And it took a lot of time and it took a lot of money. And in the beginning, it took a lot of money, and we failed a lot. I went back to working in marketing again because I was afraid we wouldn't be able to pay down our debt. So for a year, I was working back in marketing after we opened the gym, and the company was great, but I did not like it. I didn't.
You get that feeling, yeah. You get that like,
yeah. That's just, and they were a good company to work for, good people, but it's different to own your own business and know that you can do it. So in the beginning of last year, right before COVID took off, I quit my job in marketing and went back into the business full time. So now both of us were in the business full time, and we were very lucky through it all. I mean, now we probably tripled our income with just me being able to do more, both of us together, and him not feeling so overwhelmed. So that's been like pretty good for us there. But yeah, it was difficult in the beginning, and I think you have to you question yourself a lot. Like, did you make the right decision? We have kids. Is that the right thing to do? But in the end, my mother was very big on do what you love and money will follow, but do it smart. So don't just go into something just because you think it's fun, have some equity in it, like learn how to run a business. How do profitable gyms really work? How do their front desk work? What about, customer service? So yeah, do what you love, but make sure you're not in, blind going in there. And so that, I think that drive always, I'm continually learning. He and I are always sort of, it's like this fear of failure, we need to make sure we're going to service well and be great to our customers and be the best that we can be, and try not to be lazy in learning. Cause we definitely go like, oh, we're feeling fine. You get relaxed and then you're like, you know what? We were lazy last year because we had no choice. Right. It's like now we need to continue our education in both business and in fitness, so I think that's one thing that I think we always have to keep striving for, is to keep moving forward and learning and always being a student, and your glass has to be empty, or else you're going to be so full of yourself. And we've seen a lot of that, I think, in our industry.
So now that you are, I don't even know if I'm leveling,
yeah,
out.
Yeah. 4 years in business.
4 years. Okay. So yeah. So people, like for me, I always think, oh, it's going to happen tomorrow. It's going to happen tomorrow, but it doesn't. And sometimes I get to that point where I'm just like, you know what, maybe I'm not cut out for this.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, no, I am. I just have to be patient. So when you are talking to probably like maybe giving advice to someone who wants to open their own business or new gym or something like that, what kind of advice do you give those individuals?
Yeah, I definitely tell people to not just start a business because you want to. Like, hey, I think we hear this a lot. I just didn't want to work out in a 24-hour global gym, so I just decided to open my own gym so I could have the conveniency. Well, that's a hobby. That is not a business. Yes. You're going to charge people maybe $19.99 because you're going to try to compete with Planet Fitness or other companies that have, that can offer that size, that price, but really you can't accommodate for thousands of people to come in like they can, so I think that when anybody is starting like a gym, and people, I've had a lot of people ask me, I tell them like, this is how we run our gym. And this is why we do what we do, because one, I feel that we run a small group training because I feel like I can help around 6 people in good quality, right? Like I can watch their form, I can watch their training. We have a good environment. Yes. And then we can charge more because it's like a personal training service, but without charging personal one-on-one service. Right. I didn't want to go the like, hey, just open up your gym and everybody can come and work out when they wanted to. I feel like that was doing a disservice to the coaching that I wanted to offer. Like I can't coach them all the time. I can't do one-on-one all the time. I have kids too. I have to take them to things, those things are important for me. So I think really evaluating how you want to run your business. How much money do you see yourself making in the long run? What is the amount of money you think you need to make in order to be happy? And it has to be a realistic amount, not like 300,000 like your first year. That's not realistic, and really putting together something that is a breakdown. Like, all right, if I want to have this 1,000-foot square place, how much is the overhead for that? How much is the signage, the wallpaper, the flooring, really put together a budget and how much you're going to need, how much you need to save, and try not to charge it. Like I unfortunately had to charge it my first year and we weren't planning on that. But we had all kind of roadblocks. I mean, our house wouldn't close right when we were moving. We had to put down 60,000 that we had saved. It was a lot of things. I mean, that's just one of like the 10 things. I mean, talk about like Devin and I looked at each other like, should we be doing this? Like maybe this is a sign. Like we're living with your parents right now. Like that's how bad this is, as adults with kids. Like, is this what's going on? And so it really makes you think like, what are you making the right choice? And I think in the end, we just said we have to go for it. We've already stepped this far. But I think when people are deciding, they have to be realistic and look at it like a business. So how would any business run it? They would look at how much it's going to cost for them for a year. I think the biggest decision and the thing that we made was getting a coach. I had a business coach right off the bat. And right off the bat. So I had a business coach that helped me with opening, and she's specific for gyms, and that helped a lot. Like there was a lot of things I didn't even think of. Like, did you know you're supposed to have a permit for the sign on your door or on the wall at your gym? Yeah, you need a permit for that. Why would you need a permit for a sign that's on a building? Right. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't have known that. Luckily I did. And the guy came to make sure that the sign was in, like that we had everything. And I was like, yeah, I would have never known that, just little things like that. But yeah, having a coach, I think is if you can afford to have a business coach and it's not just, or a mentor, somebody that's going to help you. I think that was the biggest thing. So right now we have a business coach for the last 2.5, 3 years now. And he's actually local. But I like the way he does things. And those are some of the things I actually wanted to share today as far as what I do on a daily basis is something that he incorporates, that we really like. Maybe not so much my husband. He's always like, meh, I'm the business person. So he'll do it because he has to, which is why you should have a business coach, because they're going to be like, hey, you ain't doing what you're supposed to be doing. Sometimes you need that accountability, And like for us, that helped. When I used to say like, hey, this is a great idea. We should run this on, our third quarter. I think it would work into our blah, blah, blah. He's like, okay, whatever. I mean, I don't know but then the minute Andy, our business coach, says it, then he's like, hey, Andy was bringing up this thing and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I literally told you that last year.
Those are like this, like what my husband called them, like screaming in the pillow, events.
Yeah.
He's like, I just told you.
Yeah. And luckily he goes, I know you told me that last year. I'm sorry. Like he's so good about that. He'll be like, I'm sorry. I know, Andy told me and, blah, blah, blah. And so I think for me, that was a big thing that not a lot of people do, but it's really good, especially if you're in a field that you're not 100% about. Yeah. Having somebody guide you in that field specific, it made a huge difference, because then I felt like I knew what I was doing. Like I had a plan. Like, why would I want to do this in Q3? Well, Q3 is summer. Summer, we have more sports. Kids are off of school. These are things that we don't think about. I never thought about. But it really helped to guide me. So that's probably one of the things that I would totally recommend for people.
So I love that you said that you have a business coach, a coach
Yeah.
who has a coach. And
Yes.
I'm, like it always kind of, that coach probably has a coach and that
Yes.
coach probably has a coach.
Yes.
And that's that connection.
Yeah.
When when I visualize the realms of strength and having that connection, that networking, that leadership and that entrepreneurship, it ties into that. It ties into not just having to know in yourself that you want to run a business, but like asking, connecting with somebody, because like like I was saying earlier, when I just introduced the summit, it was like, I had to really, like, I had to get out of my head that, I can do this myself.
Yeah.
I can do this myself. I'll be fine. I won't ask anybody. I can
The
do
immigrant mindset.
And I had to change that mindset, because I didn't realize that there were business coaches. I didn't know there was an author coach. I didn't know all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like through the COVID year, I could have just fallen off the face of the earth. I could have just been like, you know what? I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to wait this out, whatever. But I took that time to build myself.
Yeah.
And build. Now this is the second summit that I've ran that you have been on. It's like, these are the crazy things I feel like, and I know there are other people who didn't realize that there were all these connections.
Yeah.
Who didn't realize that you can get a business coach.
Yeah.
It's like, when you think of coach or trainer, you think someone in the gym or whatever. But like on the outside, there is, someone else.
And there's one for every field. Like, I never knew there was an author coach. And then it's funny because once we all connected with Dawn, I realized there's tons of author coaches. Like, there are people out there like that can coach you in your field, whatever that is. Especially, I think, for entrepreneurship, it's super important. And it's been, to me, one of the things that has been very helpful in guiding me, because now not only am I in this coaching group, so now there's 10 of us or 15 of us. And now we're like the OGs, which is funny to me. But yeah, and then what we're helping other people, and I love that no matter what field I've been in, it's been in service, some sort of service. I feel like that's something that I've always been drawn to, helping people. Same. When it was in makeup, that to me is the most rewarding. And now it's helping women in other areas of strength and how that helps. And that to me is kind of my purpose. Like, I enjoy that. And that's where the harmony feels, I feel like everything is together for that reason now. And it feels great in my life.
Yeah, I totally 100% agree, because when I first started, I was like, what am I going to do? What business am I going to do? And when I started, actually, I had to like look within myself, and I'm like, okay, like I answered my own question. I was like, okay, so what am I supposed to do here? And then when I was at the hair salon and somebody heard me talking about all like how I believe that women should be stronger, blah, blah, blah. And a stranger comes up to me and is like, you know what? Thank you for saying that. That's something I needed to hear. I was like, boom.
Wow.
There it is. That's
awesome.
what it was like that acknowledgement. I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
And so now, look, I get to talk to you, Heidi.
Yeah. And we do need more women, to me, this is why I wore this shirt, because this is Meg Ray's. I never even knew who she was. I know who Joy Taylor is. I don't know if y'all know who Joy Taylor is, but
that's yes.
I just like it because we don't. I feel like there needs to be more women who are speaking in truth and speaking in sports. And Joy Taylor is one woman who's, I think she's half Black, but anyway, she's on The Herd and on ESPN. Love listening to her, super knowledgeable, but she gets flack, and because she's a woman in sports, but she knows what she's talking about. And I feel like she's another woman stepping out, trying to empower other women with her own voice. And I think that in all of our own way, we're trying to do that, whether it's in powerlifting or in your case, your company to me is pulling all these people together, like listening to Frances yesterday. Frances, like the OG, she's so awesome.
She's like, so awesome. She said yes. She was another one, like the Hail Marys. I'm like, I'm going to ask Frances. What she says. And she's like, yeah, sure. I was like, what? Okay, cool.
We need more of that. I think more people like Courtney Hull said, these people who have tons of following and lots of notoriety and very popular, they also want to make a difference, so they want to use their voice in that way.
Yes. And I love that. I love that there is that community of difference makers, especially for women. I mean, it's a huge community, but it's getting louder, and I love being part of it. Yeah. So I'm so glad to be part of that.
I agree.
So Heidi, like, give us, like, how do we get a hold of you if we have, like, say we have us business people are like, you know what? Let me ask a gym business owner, how to start something. How can they get a hold of you and ask you questions?
Yeah. So you can always visit my website, core256.com. Coach is my email. The email is coach@core256.com, and they can always go to the website. We're on all social media. So my gym is called Core Strength and Performance. So if you just type in CORE, Strength and Performance, my podcast is The Future is Female Powerlifting Podcast. I'll be interviewing somebody right after this, actually. So that will be out next week. So tune in, my friends. And if you like it, leave a review, because that always helps us grow. Yeah, we're all over the place. I would love to help anybody. So if any of you out there are even just, considering anything for personal training or anything like that, I was a personal trainer for a very, very long time. And if you have any questions, a lot of times it's more like what certification should I get, and this, and this. And those things are important, but there are other things that are more importanter.
More important.
I always like to say that. But yeah, so if you have any questions on any of that kind of area, I would love to help.
Awesome. I am so glad that you and I have met. We haven't met yet in person, but we will eventually.
We will. We need to make that happen.
Yeah.
This year.
Do you have anything coming up when
I'm going to the Showdown in Kansas City. I'll be on the mic. I'll be rocking the MIC on the live stream with Bama.
Really? With Bama? Oh,
yeah.
She's the next one I'm going to reach out to. Oh, I'm going to see if I can talk to that girl.
Yeah, she'll say yes, for sure. I think that's the only thing I'm going to be going. Everything else is here in Alabama. I don't think I'll be in California anytime soon, or Chicago or anything out there. But if I am, I will find you.
There's nothing up here. Just kidding.
Yeah, we'll get them.
All right, Heidi. Well, thank you so much for hopping on and sharing some awesome, valuable information, especially about business people, trying to be business and trying to grow a business. So I think a lot of the information is very helpful. I'll make sure to put everything in the Strong and Mighty group. So anybody who wants to get a hold of Heidi, just go onto the Strong and Mighty group, click on her advertisement tile, or not her speaker tile that I'll post up on there, and all our contact information will be on there so you guys can connect. So Thank you again, Heidi. It was, I love talking to you. I'm pretty sure we will connect again soon. So
Thank you for having me, and thank you everybody for listening. And yes, please reach out if there's anything I can help you all with. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.
Oh my gosh, you guys, that Heidi Donnell for me is, one of my OGs in my mind. She's on my favorite people list, of course. And just to listen to her talk and listen to her connect with us and sharing her valuable information as a business owner, it gives me especially that hope, that understanding that, I have to be patient, and I have to make sure that I am not rushing things, and, timing is always something that's important. So thank you, Heidi, for hopping on to the Standing in Strength Summit today. So next guest for us, it is Sue Winsberry. She'll correct me here when I bring her on. She is the energy queen. She was on yesterday talking about her services, but today we'll talk a little bit more about her services, but she's actually going to give us some a little bit of a technique, a little energy technique for us to take with today and to use for, the rest of our lives. So without further ado, there she is,
Here
the energy queen. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. I was really enjoying listening to you and Heidi. I thought that was a fabulous chat. And yeah, there's coaches for everything.
Yeah. And that's like one of the big reasons why I wanted to do a summit like this, because like I didn't know that, and probably there's other people going, no kidding, there's a coach for that. Same thing with what you do. There's a coach for that. So it's all this information, I think, is just so valuable to let everyone know that all this exists. All these opportunities exist. All these resources exist. So, that's one of the big purposes of the summit. So, Sue, let's get to it. Let's give everybody who didn't hear what your services and what you do yesterday. Let's do a quick recap of that today.
Okay, thank you. So I am Sue Winsbury, the Energy Queen. I am a coach, amongst other things. So I'm a qualified wellbeing coach. I actually coach in energetic business mastery. So I combine energy and business.
See that?
Did you even know?
Yeah, what is that?
So for me, when we're running a business, our energy underpins everything. So you can have the most amazing strategy in the world, but if your energy's not in alignment with you, or you've got too many things stuck in your energy, too much, I don't know, limiting beliefs or things that your parents said when you were a kid, or all of these things, if we keep holding on to those in our energy, then the strategy doesn't really work. And I tried and tested that myself by investing lots of money in various blueprints, various programs, and some of them just didn't work because I was not aligned. I had too many things going on in my energy, in my mindset. So so I work on energy on that level. I work on people's personal energy fields, and then I work on the physical energy in terms of burnout recovery. So that's why I call myself the Energy Queen, because I work on all kinds of energy.
I think that is really interesting with the burnout and recovery, because for me as an athletic trainer I've been working in athletics for like 15 years, either in the high schools or whatever, but like that was always in the back of my mind, that like that burnout feel, like, oh my gosh, working these 12, 13-hour days, oh my goodness, and then you get burnt out. And if I had known that you existed as a service like that, I totally would have been like, I need a realignment. I need an energy alignment. Help me.
And so many athletes burn out because there is this inner striving, this high expectation of themselves to prove themselves to themselves as much as to anybody else, and it's not always complemented by, let's say, the perfect eating for that individual. Not enough rest and relaxation and restorative time or self-nurture. There's a lot of athletes that do unfortunately burn out, and it's so preventable when they're supported in the right way.
That's a great way of thinking, because like we do have athletes, there's that demand. There is the demand on their body, there is a demand on their mind and their health, and it's like like I would have to travel with them, so I would be on a bus for 16 hours to get to our next destination, and then they would have to go play. They'd have to perform, and that's the same thing with me. It's like I'd have to make sure that my guys are taped up and all this, and getting them ready. And although I'm not directly on the field playing, I'm still in the background supporting them. But then, like, oh my gosh, I felt that burnout. I feel that same demand, but in a
absolutely way. Yeah. So because you're still in a state of stress when you're watching them, and you're still creating a stress response in the body because you've got all that. It's great, the passion and all the rest of it, and a certain amount of stress is really good, because it, for athletes competing, that little bit of stress beforehand gives them that push and that drive, and that's really positive stress, if you like, and it also gets rebalanced during the sporting process. But it's when we stay in that all the time, that's when we burn out.
When you feel that neck muscle like really tight. 100%. So Sue, how did you get into this?
So I've been in health and well-being for nearly 20 years. I started out in healing, as we talked about yesterday. I went on and trained in lots of different hands-on therapies.
Right.
And then this next training kept knocking on my door. I kept getting these emails popping up, and I was, no, I'm not doing any more training. I'm done. I've got certificates as long as my arm. I'm done with training. And we were talking yesterday about how the energy, how the universe works, and my first healing was just like, you need to do this, and this thing would not go away. This training wouldn't go away. So I was just like, I'll go and listen to there was a 1 hour talk at a health expo. So I thought I'll go and listen to that talk, and then I ended up booking into a half-day training, and then I ended up booking for a day training, and I thought, I think I'm going to do this. But I so believe in sort of divine guidance, universal guidance, because I qualified in 2013, so 8 years ago. 5 years ago, my eldest son, when he was doing his A levels, so that's at 18. I don't know what the equivalent is in the States, but the big exams they do at 18, and he started burning out. And he was also head boy at his school, so he had a lot of pressure, and he has very high expectation of himself. And if I hadn't had that training, I wouldn't have known what was actually happening with his body.
Wow.
So we managed to put some things in place, just meditation and relaxation techniques. And then for the next 5 years, he kind of teetered on the brink. He went to university. He had an amazing time at university. He's very sporty. He did an ultra marathon. He played in the football team and drank a lot of beer, had a lot of fun. But his body was always giving him little nudges and warnings, but he didn't want to listen to them. And then he did burn out at the beginning of last year. So I kind of feel very guided and blessed that I did that training, so I had the knowledge to recognize, because it can take a long time to get a diagnosis. Wow,
that's amazing that you were the one that understood. You're the one that saw, and that's awesome when you could take what you've learned and heal your family. I love that. That's awesome. So today, we're gonna have you show us a technique that we could take with us. So I was totally excited about this. Yes. Because I saw with the 21-day challenge in Dawn Bates' group, Phoenix Rising. I think it was the Phoenix Rising group. Like, I would jump on your challenges and just like breathe, learning, breathe. Okay, and it was awesome, and I loved it. So today, if we have 10 minutes, is that good?
We can do a whistle stop.
So okay, give us a technique that we can do today, because I think it's very helpful to align our energy. Sometimes during the day we get that burnt out feeling. So, give us a quick technique. Okay,
so I'm kind of going, should I just do a nice meditation? But I think actually I'm going to use the swaying technique, because it's a really good way of, if you think that would be a good one for your audience.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so this is called, it has its roots in the energy alignment method, which was created by a lady called Yvette Taylor. I've trained as one of her mentors, and we use our body as a guidance. So our body's energy tells us the truth. Our energy doesn't lie.
So true.
Our heads can tell us all kinds of untruths, but when we tune into our energy, it's pretty honest and truthful with us. So this technique has its roots in kinesiology, and we do it standing up. We use the body to give us our answers. So kinesiology is muscle testing, and there are 3 flows of energy. So any form of energy, whether it's electricity or whatever, when it's in flow, it's flowing nicely. An inflow day, you know, when we have those days when it's just like, yay, everything's just worked today.
Just right. It's just working all today. Yes.
Yeah, the tech's good, the people are there, the clients are there, the business is good, I'm feeling high vibe. It's just, you know, that's a real inflow day. Everything just works. We have our days when we are in resistance, where it's just like, oh, I'm getting there, but it's really hard work today, and I'm I'm paddling upstream. It's just effort. So that's a resistant flow. And then we have a reversal where your energy is pretty much hit the wall and kind of going backwards, which tends to be created more by traumatic instances, which, traumas, as I said yesterday, it could be being told off as a child. It can be much, much bigger. So we're going to, I can't go into too much depth because of the time, but the way that we do this technique is that you stand with your feet hip width apart, your knees slightly soft, hands relaxed by your sides. Do you want to give it a go, Lani, or do you just want to listen to me?
Thank goodness I'm wearing shorts today. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so feet hip width apart, knees slightly soft, arms by your side. Just take a nice deep breath in to begin with. And breathe out. And just take another deep breath in and come out of your head and down into your heart energy. Now you can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed. It's entirely up to you. And we just want to check where your energy is. So you just say out loud, my name is Lani.
My name is Lani.
See where your body pulls you.
My name is Lani. My name is Lani.
Okay, which way did you feel you went?
Forward.
Forward, perfect. So forwards is yes.
I was like, okay, my name is Lani. At first I started like side to side, and then I just really felt the biggest pull was forward.
Yeah. And then to double check it, we can say my name is Bob.
My name is Bob. Ooh, you're right. I went backwards.
Yeah. So for anyone who's watching and trying this, or watching this on the replay and trying it, if you don't go forwards on your name, it can be if your birth name or your christened name is slightly different. So if you call yourself Steve, but your full name is Stephen, your energy might recognize Stephen rather than Steve. If you've been adopted, I've had this with clients who've been adopted, that they actually, the energy doesn't recognize their current name, but it recognizes their given birth name. And if you don't like your name, you might just not move on it.
Okay. So let me tell you, Sue. I love that technique because that's pretty cool. But the way my name is pronounced is there's actually a pause in the two ways. It's actually Larni. But it's gotten squished together throughout the years to be Larni. And I've gone back and forth, like, do I go back to Larni? And there's some people who will still say my name like that, like my family and some people I went to school with. But I'm going to try that with both pronunciations of my name once this is, and I'm going to be like, Sue, it did work. Because it's really interesting, like people's names are very interesting. And like when you say Steven, like my husband's name is Christopher, but I've called him Chris since I've known him, and it's like when I call him Christopher, it sounds weird.
Yeah, it's just it's what your energy actually connects with. Because I'm Suzanne, but when I'm checking my sway, I always say my name is Sue, and my energy recognizes that. But you can use that once you've got your yes and your no as clear, then you can use it for asking various questions. So you can use it for food. Does my body want this right now? Will my body benefit from eating this donut right now? Or this cup of coffee?
Or joy.
Yeah, that's another way. So yeah, because that's more of an emotional. Will this donut bring me joy? Yes, it might. Does my body want this donut? Oh, it might be a no.
Yes, that's interesting. Gosh, and I 100% believe that your body does tell you. It gives you that, that direction. It gives you that that sign. We were talking about this yesterday. Like if you walk into the room and there's like all these people, your energy will tell you who, that's the person you should talk to. But then like I'll resist and I'll go talk to the other person. And then my body will be like, oh, maybe I should have talked to that person. I love that. That is so interesting. And I love that technique because it's simple. Like I could probably do it while I'm standing in line. Like, should I buy this shirt?
I do it. I literally do it around the supermarket all the time.
Do you really? Yeah. See, and I was like, oh, see, okay. I'm going to totally use that. So I hope everybody who just watched that quick and simple technique. I know there's a lot more to dive deep into it, but something to take away that's like just really quick like that, I think is very interesting. Everybody should try it at least once or twice today. Just try it with different things. Try it with your name first, and then try it with like, should I get this 2:30 coffee?
I'm going to add a little proviso onto this. It's not a fortune telling tool. It's not a divination tool. So if you want
to use win the lotto.
Exactly. Because if it was, I'd have won by now. So it's not something for predicting your future. It's something for calibrating what is right for you in this present moment. And the way that I use it with my clients is that we work on beliefs, we work on trauma, and the joy of it is that we can go back way deeper than any conscious. So we can go into, I was working today with somebody, we can go back into the time you were in the womb and your energy will give you answers. So, did I feel stressed when I was in the womb? Might be yes, might be no. And then you can release that stress from your energy, so it actually shifts it out of your energy field.
So one last question: the energy that you give people the tools to feel and connect with themselves. Is there? Do you have any advice to how to handle the energy that's like, oh, maybe, that resistance, like I want to go talk to that person, but my body is telling me this. Like, what advice do you have to give someone who like is trying to resist the energy?
If you have the time, just kind of sit and question. I mean, there's a releasing technique that we can use with this, but for the sake of a quick answer, if you have the time, kind of think, what am I resisting here?
Ooh, that's a great question. Yes.
What is the resistance? Is it because I feel intimidated or shy, or is it something else going on? You can always ask, is it in my highest interest to go and talk to this person? And if you get a nice big yes, then yeah, go and talk to them. And if it's something that you have more time, then a bit of journaling, just write that question down. Why am I resisting, I don't know, being more visible in my business?
Ooh, that's a good one as well. That's a good one, especially for new entrepreneurs and new business people who are just diving in, who are like, let's say I want to say I'm like less than a year into my entrepreneurship business world. And it's hard to, when you're new, you want to do everything. Like, I want to do everything. But then you really have to sit back and like talk with yourself.
Yeah.
And I also like think about like, what is the feeling? I used to deny the feel, like, what does it feel like? Like I grew up not understanding my feelings, and that my feelings were valid answers and were valid like signs. So like, I'm so glad that you like build that into people to understand the energy that a feeling can give you, to understand that. So, wow, that's powerful. To me, that's powerful because it's something that I had to learn as an adult. I didn't learn it as a child. So I had to learn that as an adult. But wow, that's amazing. I love that. There's so much more I want to ask you, Sue, but I know that we have like this time. I have like so many, I like want to take all these notes. But Sue, again, let's give everybody how the best way to get a hold of you. I mean, I know I put the information on the Strong and Mighty page for everyone to like reach out to you, but like give us again how to get a hold of you if they have any questions.
Yep. So you can get hold of me through my website, which is SueWinsbury.com, Sue without the E. I'm Sue Winsbury everywhere. So Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. If you've got any questions, you can just ping me in your group if that's okay with you.
Sure.
I've got a little guide on burnout, which I'm going to put the link into the group so people can download that for free.
Awesome.
Burning out to firing up, so it's just how to spot the warning signs. But yeah, feel free to find me, friend me, message me, ask me questions. I don't bite. And I'm all about change, supporting change makers, supporting conscious growth and evolution. And we are in the time of certainly women rising, female energy rising, so it's exciting times.
Yes. I love it, Sue. Thank you so much for being on a second time today, because there was just so much that when you asked, can I be on twice? I'm like, yes, you can. But thank you so much for hopping on for the second day of the Standing in Strength Summit. I really appreciate the technique that you showed the listeners today, because I thought, that's very good. Getting to know, a little bit more inside and recognizing that energy. So thank you so much for hopping on this morning. I 100% appreciate it. And I'm pretty sure we will connect again.
Thank you so much. It's been a fantastic summit. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So
thank you.
I will keep watching.
Have a great day or afternoon. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, you guys, how awesome is that to have like that quick technique to take with you? And if you're feeling a little bit disconnected from yourself or disconnected on a feeling, just asking yourself your question and understanding what your body is telling you. I thoroughly believe in in signs and what feels right, and how it your body can give you so many signs. So, all right. So this next guest, her name is Issa Kushma. Issa Amazing. And she is, the interview that I've done with her for this summit is, I recorded it because I really wanted her to be part of this summit, but she had a previous engagement on this day. And she talks about mental health, wellness, and fitness, and how it really is a big part of her life. So I'm going to give you guys the recording of the one that I did with her, because there's a lot of information on there that I think is very, very, very important and very helpful. We can't live life trying to like pretend that we're okay when really, we got to ask for help. And again, another connection from her. So I'll play that here in 1 second. I'm going to fire it up. So give me one moment, and it will be with Issa Kushma. Issa Kushma. Issa Amazing. Okay, everybody, I just was told that you guys can't hear the video of Issa talking about the importance of mental health and fitness and how it all ties together. So I will make sure I put this recording onto the Strong and Mighty group so you guys can go back and watch it, because there's so much valuable information on that. So don't worry, you guys will get to hear the full interview, because it's a very great interview with Issa. So I will make sure that replay gets put onto the Strong and Mighty page, because there's a lot of takeaways from her conversation. So moving forward, part of the Standing in Strength Summit is being strong in all the hiccups and all the things that happen. So we are moving forward with my next guest. I'm so excited to have her on as well. She is part of this compilation book. She's in here. She is the last chapter, and we're gonna talk about strength a little bit, but a little bit more deeper, and how to balance the strength when it comes to health and wellness and fitness, and how she has been helping people in her life build themselves up to the most strongest version of themselves. So without further ado, there she is. There she is.
Hey, Barney.
How you doing, Ray? I know how much you love doing these for me.
Yeah, you owe me some cookies or something, definitely.
I'm surprised you haven't been like, you know what, Larnie, I'm tired of talking for you. You're making me talk so much. So, okay, let's get to it. Okay, so
All
tell
right.
everybody who you are, what you do. Give us some little tidbits about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Ray Ellsworth. I am a strength and conditioning coach. I have been coaching at the collegiate level for almost 28 years. The last 26 years, I've been very fortunate to be back in my alma mater, Texas A&M. I am the director of sports performance on the Olympic side of things, and so I'm directly in charge of the programming and training for volleyball and softball, and then I'm also in charge of our practicum program, which works in conjunction with the graduate school to produce future strength and conditioning coaches that can go out and
train people like me. Go ahead, say it.
Exactly. Get good quality coaches out there to every aspect, whether it's college, pro, high school, private sector, what have you. So that's what we do. That's what I do. Been doing it a long time.
So just to give you guys a little bit of a brief history of how I met Ray. So when I started my powerlifting journey, I was looking for a powerlifting coach who I have now. His name is Benjamin Tipton at Ironclad Performance here in the Chicagoland area. And I did not know that the Ray that he was talking about was actually this Ray that I'm talking to today. And then her wife is in another group that I'm on, and said, oh yeah, that's my friend and my wife's mentor. It just connected. It just like overall connected. And it's Sue Winsbury was just on before you, and we were talking about how the universe and how energy has a weird way of connecting people. And I feel like this is the perfect example of how we got connected somehow. It just eventually just came together, and look, I get to talk to you. You're a published author in the book. It's just awesome. So, and that's really one of the biggest purposes of the Standing in Strength Summit, is to connect people to resources and connect people to, like access people who have questions. Like say, I know somebody who wants to be a strength and conditioning coach, and I'm just like, hey, I got a great person you could talk to. And it's just that continuous connection, because I know that I wasn't the only one who was like going, well, who do I talk to? Who do I talk to? So that is like, this is like the perfect example of, the connection that I want to build in the community of Standing in Strength together collectively. But what I really wanted to touch on with you is, you are strength and conditioning coach, and you not only build these women, not only like build them to be the strongest person physically in their sport, but like you train their mind as well. That's really important, especially like health and wellness and fitness. They all come together, but you never know the outcome of who you're training. Like what are they going to be when they leave your gym or your training, your program, your practicum. So can you elaborate a little bit on how you do that for people, and like a little bit of a backstory on how you came up to like beginning to help people like that?
Yeah, so I'm so fortunate because I've been able to be touched by and touch so many athletes that have gone through this program and future coaches, but just some incredible people, talented beyond measure, and they really can do anything. But I feel like the weight room. Yes, I'm not a psychologist. I don't try to play quote mind games, but I do train their mind because the weight room exposes things. Weight room exposes self-doubt, lack of confidence, maybe poor work ethic, poor attention to detail, investment in yourself and in the team, commitment, all these things. And so, my job, I heard a speaker one time, job is to speak to people. And she said something like, describe what you do without using the word strength and conditioning.
Ooh.
And so I was like, wow. And so I just came up with, my job is to make you uncomfortable. And because, if you're comfortable in any aspect of your life, you will not grow. And that doesn't mean that every day you're so uncomfortable and blah, 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 blah. But, if you're constantly in an environment where you are comfortable, whether it's business, whether it's school, whether it's relationships, whatever it is, there certainly is going to be a limit to your growth. Without that, I mean, you need hard times, you need challenges, you need times to be uncomfortable to push you out of your comfort zone so that you can grow. So that's my job. I tell my athletes, some days you are not going to like me. I don't care. I hope you eventually, I hope you respect me, but my job is to make you push your boundaries, expand your boundaries of what is possible. We often see with training women athletes in general, they underestimate their abilities grossly. So my job is to set minimums. If I were to tell a brand new freshman who's never lifted a weight before, go grab a dumbbell, we're going to do a dumbbell row. This is what it looks like, blah, 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 explain how you perform it. And I let her pick the weight. She's going to grab a 10 to a 15 pound weight because she has no frame of reference of what her body is capable of. So I just tell her, go grab a dumbbell. It's got to at least be 25 to 30 pounds. And if she performs that well, great. If she performs it very poorly, then we will regress. But I'm not going to waste 12 weeks getting her to the point where she feels comfortable enough to grab a 25 or a 30. We're going to start somewhere there. And I feel like that's a reasonable amount of weight. And if she can do it, great. We'll keep pushing. If not, then we'll stay there or we'll regress. But, my job is to get people out of their comfort zones and not let them select what they are capable of doing. So
I understand that. Like, I think I have gone through your 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 program, your mindset through Ben, so I know exactly how that feels. And like, how do you tell them, you know what, you're not going to push yourself if you're not giving yourself the chance.
Right. Well, I have to explain, there's a difference between exercise and training.
Anybody,
I go for a walk, that's exercise. That's not training for what I'm trying to do. I can move some light weights for the sets and reps and not get very minimal results with that. That's exercise. Training is when you get out of your comfort zone and you push the boundaries so that you can create a response within the body. There's probably people that that have been going to the gym doing basically the same kind of program for a long time, and they really haven't gotten any better. They're just kind of look the same, right? Well, that's because, again, they're exercising, they're not training. So they're never doing anything to irritate the body enough to create a change. You know, the body is a
Mm,
problem-solving machine. So if I give my body a problem that makes it uncomfortable, that it doesn't like, that it struggles with, I get sore. And then to keep growing, the soreness will eventually go away with the same load. Well, what happened? My body made an adaptation. But the example I always use in class is, you know, if I were to rub on my hand like this long enough, at some point my body's going to be like, wow, that's really irritating. Please stop. And I'm like, nope, I'm going to keep doing it. So the body, it will solve the problem for me. It's going to create a callus. And now, no matter how long I rub on that callus, it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to change. The only way I can change that adaptation to make that callus thicker or bigger is to change the stimulus. Now I've changed the stimulus, and now this is going to irritate it again, and it's going to make the callus thicker. So that's what the difference between exercise and training is. Exercise is I'm doing movements. It's not really causing anything to happen other than maybe I'm burning a couple of calories.
Wow.
Because I am exercising and getting out of my comfort zone so that my body says, I don't like this feeling. I have got to get stronger or this person is going to kill me. Basically, survival of the fittest. You know, the body's like, this is horrible. I don't like this. I've got to do something to make this task more tolerable.
Wow. You know, I love that you did that analogy, because that was, you know, it's, we always think about it in our heads. And I guess, like, for me, I'm a visual learner. So if I just continuously just like think about it in my head and I don't see a connection, it doesn't stick. You know, it like doesn't stick. And the way you use that rubbing analogy, it's like, you know what? That's true. It's exactly how it is. And it puts it in a different perspective, especially when it comes to finding like that inner strength that people, they have it. They have it inside them. It's like, how do you draw that out of them? Like, how do you let them know that they are a lot stronger than they think they are mentally, physically, and it shows in their capabilities? Like, you as a strength and conditioning coach, like, how do you like, you know, like dig that out of people who resist? There's always those resistors.
Yeah. I think at some point, there's a couple of things. Number one, you've got to create trust with your kids or your clients or your training partner, or whoever it is. I have to know that if I'm going to attempt a max effort bench press, that Ben is going to give me a great lift off and I am 100% safe, even though I've got more weight than I've ever had over my face and chest. All I have to think about is execution, effort. So creating trust. So, you know, you build that with your athletes by letting them know you care about them. So that doesn't mean I want to know about, you know, what they did on the weekend or what's going on in their love life. I don't care about that. But just things that are important to them. So if I have a kid that doesn't play a whole lot and she gets in the game, she's going to get a text from me like, great job. I'm so happy you got in, and wow, way to make the most of your opportunity. You know, if something tragic happens in the family, I'm going to reach out and let them know that I'm thinking about them, write them a card. I'm sorry you're going through this tough time. I'm here for you. My office door is open. When I have athletes that maybe aren't the most athletic kids, but they do something really well, I'll call them out in front of the group at the end, because we always end with a group. And I'll say something like, London, wow, your squats today, you're 6'3", you were below parallel, knees open. That was rock solid. That's exactly what I like. You were dialed in today. So just acknowledging people, acknowledging effort, acknowledging toughness, acknowledging, you know, just attention to detail, consistency, you know, that over time, people really value me. I don't control playing time. So I don't play games. Everyone's the same in my weight room. You're the All-American, great, touch the line, we're doing it again. You're the last person off the bench, great, touch the line, we're doing it again. Like, there are standards, and those standards are being upheld by everybody. So trust, I think, is one thing to help kids get out of their comfort zone, because they know that, number one, I've never let anything bad happen to you. You've always finished. It maybe wasn't pretty. We've always finished, and you've always recovered, and look how far you've been. That's the first thing. The other thing is you've got to find a way to motivate them. Some people are intrinsically motivated. You challenge them. and and they will respond. Some people don't. So those are people that, again, you learn by just getting to know them. So you may have to motivate them differently. You know, we've been out there running before. It's hot and humid in Texas. I mean, it is nasty, nasty, nasty weather. And we're out there, and, you know, we've got 5 more reps to go, and people are starting to have that little voice like, oh, do this.
Yes.
But there's no
that quitting voice that, like, I want to quit. Quitting.
The quitting voice, and the voice is, I can run a little bit slower. You know, it's okay. You know, I'm doing so much. You know, they're just justifying it in their head. And so that's where, you know, I have to do something to snap them out of it. So my thing is, okay, right now, this next rep, we are running in honor or memory of someone. Who are you running this for? And I make them literally verbalize, who are you running this rep for? So someone might say, my grandma, you know, my brother, whatever, you know, my teammate Lauren right there. So right then, it's a mind switch from poor me, this sucks, I'm hot, I don't want to be here, wah, 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 to I've got to give great effort on honoring my grandma. You know, and then the next step, okay, who are we honoring? And, you know, we don't do that all the time, but there's times where we need to get out of our own way and just focus on something else. And, you know, there's also times where, you know what? I will throw them a bone. We were supposed to do X amount of reps. We're kicking it in the ass. No one's complaining. Good body language, good encouragement. Hey, tweet. We were going to do 7 more of these. You know what? Screw that. You guys did great. Let's call it up. My God, you think I would have given them the key to the city or something? You know, like they get so excited. But again, a way to motivate them, because what does that tell them? That message right there says, okay, if I have good body language, if I work hard, if I'm giving great effort, all these things, there's a chance that this knucklehead with a whistle is going to knock some reps off. Not always, but she just might. And God, I hope she does, because I'm going to keep giving great effort. So it's just a way of just knowing what your kids want. And that comes from just, you know, being a human being, having walked in their shoes many years ago, just being in touch, having your pulse on the team, having a couple of kids that, you know, are always really hard workers and straight shooters, and asking, how do you feel today? Man, I feel like my legs feel heavy today because I'm just really tired. Okay, great. That's all I'm going to say. And then maybe I give them a reward at the end, you know, and knock off some reps because, number 1, they need it. But number 2, you know, I can trust them. They're not always trying to get out of things. They know this is a necessary evil to get them where they want to be. And,
you know, it's like a lot of your thoughts, a lot of your training processes, they really transfer into life. You know, like body language, giving great effort, trusting the people that you work with, and making the most of like every opportunity. All your like training philosophies, they travel not just in athletics and training and exercise, but in life, in business, in network, you know, I feel like you're definitely giving your students that basis of leadership, not only just on the field, but like in life as well. And I think that is 100% amazing. 100% amazing.
Yeah, these are life lessons. And sadly, not every child that comes into our facility and is under my guidance has grown up in that environment. There's been kids who have been enabled. There's been helicopter parents. There's been kids who had no accountability because parents weren't in the picture or whatever. They come from a lot of different backgrounds. So part of my job, unfortunately, is teaching them life. Life is not fair. Life does not care. I don't care that you woke up with a stomach ache. You better show up until the trainer sends you home. If you're not going to be for some reason or you're running late, you better be texting me. That's called being an adult, being responsible. And these are lessons that we introduce and we teach and we reinforce because, again, not every kid has, you know, grown up the same way and had the same kind of reinforcements at home on how to handle your business, how to be an adult.
And it's you see that every day. And, yes. You know, like it's coming, like as time goes on, like the differences, I mean, like I know we both grew up in a different time with technology and internet and stuff, but it's like, oh my gosh, you know, we have to grow up. We have to know how to adult. We have to know how to do that. And I think like a lot of the lessons that you teach your students, I think it's very valuable. It's very valuable. So let's talk about like really quick before Let's talk about your chapter in the Standing in Strength book, because I love your chapter, and it's definitely like the last chapter because I want to. The message that you left in your chapter gives people more thinking time. You know, it drags on that thinking. So the chapter that you wrote in Standing in Strength called Dare to Be Great. So explain Dare to Be Great really quick.
Yeah, I think it's very easy to be comfortable, to be mediocre. I think people sometimes, good enough is good enough, and it's certainly not, especially in athletics. To me, that I think there's a quote that says, "Good enough is the path to the death of greatness." Basically, if you have that mentality. So my thing is like, especially with my athletes, you're here. Why not dare to be the best version of yourself that you can be? Not everyone's blessed with the greatest genetics, but everyone can be a better version of themselves, whether they're 18, 19, 20, 21, or later in life like me. Like, I find myself sometimes wanting to be really comfortable, and that has to be, you have to be self-aware and be like, okay, I'm getting comfortable. It's time to put the screws down and get right again. Because I feel like example, because I'm asking these kids to do some things, and I better be willing to do some of the same things with myself instead of, I'm going to lose some credibility with them. But dare to be great. My thing is like, it's easy to sit on the sidelines and say, maybe I could have done this or could have that. But my thing is like, you know what? Shoot for the stars. Set up, a realistic goal. It has to be realistic. You can't say, I'm going to be an Olympian and have no sort of athletic ability. But, set a realistic goal. Make a plan for those goals, short little goals to achieve the bigger goal, and then go for it. Go all in and try for it. The worst thing that can happen is you do not succeed, but I would challenge you that you're in a better spot because you tried than you would have been just sitting on the sidelines and not trying at all. So in that case, failure is actually better than not even trying, because it forced you to go through a process where you were trying to get better, be the best version of yourself, and you may not have reached your goal, but by doing the work and not just having a goal and doing nothing about it, but literally putting the work in to achieve that goal, even if you do not achieve it and you fail, failure is a better spot than standing on the sidelines and wondering, I wonder if I could have done that. So to me, that's why I say dare to be great, because it takes courage. The fear of failure is a real thing. It is a real thing. And, my thing is like, if you set a goal, if I want to set a goal to whatever, lose weight, lean up, bench more, whatever, if I acknowledge that publicly, whether it's just to my training partner, to Sean, to my athletes, to whoever, now the pressure is on, because now it's just not that thing like, oh, I need to do this. No, people think I'm going to do this. And if I don't, I'm going to look like an idiot. So the fear of failure not only is real, but it spurs you into action a little bit. So that's my thing. Great.
Oh my God. Yeah. That's exactly why I wanted you to talk about it, because, it's like every time I ask you to come and talk about your chapter and the Dare to Be, because it's a quick reminder for not just for, me, but I'm hoping that it's a quick reminder for everyone that push yourself. You don't know what your capabilities are until you try. And, in failure, sometimes people think it's such a bad thing. Like, oh my God, I failed my attempt. Oh my God, I failed this, whatever. But you tried. You tried it. Maybe you didn't like it, and that's why you failed. But now now you know that maybe there's something else you can try. Or maybe you need to tweak that to prevent the next failure. That is so important.
Failure is a great learning tool. It's a great learning, because it forces you to reflect, what did I do leading up to this point? What maybe wasn't good? What could be better? What was a terrible idea, or whatever, and because if every time you try something it works, then you're like, well, great, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. But that's not how reality works. If you never fail, you aren't training, you're exercising. If you are never failing, you are never putting yourself out there. You're comfortable.
Oh, wow. Wow. Those are some very wise words. Let me tell you, Ray, very wise. Like I have, whenever you talk, try to write a whole bunch of notes, but I'm going to go back to this video and take a whole bunch of notes and like post it all on the Facebook page. But, Ray, thank you so much for being on the Standing in Strength Summit number 2. I'm pretty sure I'm going to ask you to keep doing this for me. You're going to learn this. You're going to learn how to do the technology, right? But how do people get a hold of you? If they have a whole bunch of other questions, like I know I have a ton of questions, but how do they get a hold of you?
Yep. So if they want to email me, they can go to 12thman.com. That's our A&M website, and just look under staff directory, and you've got my contact information there. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @unrelentingray. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's unrelenting44.
Awesome.
And you can private those, and I will absolutely get back to you. Please do not ask me to write you up. I will not write a program for anyone because I don't believe I can coach if I don't see you. So I won't do that, but I'm happy to answer questions about anything else.
Oh my gosh. Well, Ray, thank you so much for taking a few minutes out of your very busy schedule today to share a lot of valuable information. I'm so excited. Like whenever I'm just like, yeah, Ray's going to be on. So I'm so glad that you were able to hop on today. So thank you so much for the valuable information, and a lot of wise nuggets come out of our conversations, and I love it. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure. And we'll talk to you soon.
You'll be getting a package from me soon. Just look out for it.
All right. Sounds good.
All right. I will talk to you, Ray. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
Bye. Oh my gosh. As much as sometimes like my powerlifting coach has been trained under Ray, I hear whenever she talks, I hear a lot of the voices from my coach telling me the same thing. And that's great. That's awesome because I believe in sending out that information to be shared, sharing that strength. And that's really, again, part of the Standing in Strength Summit. So connecting with everybody and making sure that all those resources are there to have for everyone to listen to and connect to. All right. So my last morning power speaker is in the back room waiting to hop on. So I'm going to bring her on. Her name is Debbie Debonair, and I cannot wait to hear information that she has, because we have talked before, and let me tell you, this lady has some great information as well. So I'm going to bring her on here. There she is, my friend Debbie Debonair. Woo!
Hi, Lonnie.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. It's been a wonderful summit so far, and you are the last power speaker for this morning, until the session this afternoon. And yes, we are going to go over in time a little bit, but you know what? It's my summit. I'm going to do what I want to do.
Exactly.
So Debbie, tell us a little bit about yourself, and where are you at? Where are you from? Because I love to make sure that people know that the Standing in Strength Summit is reaching international waters. So tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Yeah, no worries, Lonnie. So I'm Debbie Debonair, and I'm across the pond, as they say, in Manchester in the UK. I am an emotional resilience coach. I guide, inspire, and empower women to take back their control, to live life on their own terms. I do, however, empower men too. I am the conqueror of clinical depression, the failure of 3 attempts at suicide, and currently the curator of Alive to Thrive. Failing suicide gives you the gift of life. So that's a little bit about me.
That's just a little bit. I know.
That's just a little bit.
I know. It's like I know there's a ton more about you, but so the Standing in Strength talks about the realms of strength: mental wellness, health, mental and health wellness. Fitness. We talk about finding your inner strength. We talk about how you built that strength. that now that you're sharing it with others, like where was that pivotal moment for you where you're like, you know what, I need to build the strongest version of me so I can help others? Like, what was that moment for you?
That moment came actually at 2 a.m. in the morning. I had a pivotal moment. I lived in victimhood for most of my life, up to the age of 40 blah blah, and or maybe 30 blah blah blah. Hey ho, who's counting? And yeah, I woke up and felt something in my hand that I kind of wasn't quite sure what it was, and it transpired to be an empty wine bottle. When I looked around me, I was lay on a very disheveled bed. I myself was very disheveled, fully clothed, a bit of a mess, to put it politely. And when I realized I had this empty wine bottle in my hand, it was quite a shock because I wasn't a drinker. You know, I would have the odd glass now and again, but to have drank a full bottle was quite scary. But the biggest scare was that my young son, who was about 7 or 8 at the time, was asleep in the bedroom next door. And at any time through the night, he could have actually come into my room and found me.
Wow.
So you can imagine what was going on in my head. So I sat up, I swung my legs round to face the bedroom door. And as I swung round and sat up, my little boy's face was here.
Wow.
Not physically. It was a vision, an apparition, a dream, call it what the hell you like, but he was there. And it was the look in that little boy's eyes and the tears streaming down his face that made me realize my little boy needed me. I'm sorry. It's been a while, but it gets me every time because I can still see the vision.
Yes.
And I'd been told so often that I was an unfit mother, that my son was better off without me. I was the toxic person in his life. So those 3 failed attempts at suicide wasn't me being selfish. It was me removing myself from my son's life so he could have a better life. And that vision made me realize that that was wrong. All of that was wrong. This little boy needed his mummy. And that was the pivotal point for me. And it woke me up to start my own transformational journey. It wasn't easy. It was not easy. It took me 6.5 years to come out of the darkness and then to carry on the transformation. So yeah, it was a toughie, but that little boy saved my life.
Wow. What a powerful story. Because I know that I've gone through same darkness a little bit as well. It's, but it was in my teenage years. I didn't have, I didn't have a child or anything like that. But it was like, sometimes you get to that point where you feel like you want to give up, but then something comes up there. Like for me, it was fitness. For me, it was like getting, understanding that my body was capable, that got me out of that darkness. But for you, it was your vision of your son.
Yeah.
So what did you do for yourself? What did you, all of a sudden, you're like, I have to do this. Yes, I see my son, but now I have to work on me to be able to be here to help my son. Like, what did you do?
First of all, what I did was I reached out for help, which is something that I really strongly advocate for anyone who is dealing with any mental health issues. You are not alone. Please reach out your hand, because I think that is one of the hardest steps, but it's the step that needs to be taken. Because there are so many people like me out there with a hand reaching out to you. So I really need to say that first. So yeah, I I reached out for help. I had a counselor, therapist, whatever title you want to give them. However, it started off very well. Okay, they gave me good coping strategies, but unfortunately for me, it knocked me back because they stepped over the professional line and got feelings for me.
Oh, wow.
So basically spiraled me back a bit to kind of put me where I had been before I'd kind of, started on the recovery journey or the transformational journey. But one of the things that they got me to do was something called mirror work. Now, it was one of the first things that I did, and it was one of the hardest things because I hadn't looked in the mirror for 9 years. So for me to look in the mirror was like, are you kidding me? Give me a break. I'll do anything, but do not ask me to look in the mirror.
Yeah.
But anyway, all of the time, this vision of my son was in my head, and that was my why, and that's what kept me going. So for the first 2 weeks of me doing this mirror work, I would stand in front of my mirror with my eyes closed. So it took me 2 weeks before I opened my eyes. Then I opened my eyes and closed them again and walked away. That happened for another few days. So this mirror work did go on for a while. And basically what it does, it gets you to look into the eyes of the person in the mirror. But not just look at them, but look into their eyes. Because when you look into the eyes, you look into the heart and you see what's going on. And what I did when I got to the point where I could actually look into her eyes, get inside her heart, I then told her out loud how much I loved her and how much unconditional love I had for her. And that was the start of my journey to get my self-love back. I then, loved myself, started to love every single part of me because you can't move forward from where you are until you love who you are first. Right in that moment, you have to love the person you are at whatever stage you're at. You have to love that person. There may be things you don't like about yourself. There was lots of things I didn't like about myself, lots of things I loathed about myself, not just didn't like. But I taught myself to start liking and loving every molecule of me inside and out, because then I could move forward. Because what happens is when you start loving who you are, both on the inside and the out, you then become the person that you want to be. But if you stay in that loathing, hatred mindset, it blocks you from moving forward. So you have to love who you are right now at this moment to then move yourself forward.
Totally,
so
100%.
Totally. That was the first step to it, to the whole transformation.
That's amazing, because I feel like that happened for me in my journey. That happens today. Like
absolutely.
I'm 44 and I'm still working on that. I mean, I love myself 100% more now than I did when I was like 12 or 13, but it took a lot of time to acknowledge myself. Like, okay, Larnie, this is the vessel that you have received. Let's work on it. Let's build it. Let's build her. Let's make sure we are building the vision of the woman that you want to see. And it took like Debbie, you and I have talked, and it's taken us a long time. It's taken us a long time.
I'm 56, so
there you go. So it never ends, everybody. It never ends to build who you are, because the more you love yourself, the more you give the love to others.
Absolutely.
So Debbie, tell us about your Heart Act. Is that the result of building yourself? Is that what the Heart Act is about?
Heart Act. Basically, when I came through my transformation, and realized, because I never knew why I was here. I didn't know that I had a purpose on the earth. It wasn't something that I knew about.
Oh, okay.
Because I lived in victimhood from the age of 8 to 30, 40, blah, blah. So, didn't really understand that we had a purpose on the earth. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I was a mom, I was a
Yes.
wife, then an ex-wife, and so who was I? But because I came through that journey, through that transformation, I found my purpose on this earth. And my purpose was I'd had all of that happen for me from the age of 8, so that I could be here to guide and inspire and empower other people to find their purpose and their passion in life, because we do, each and every one of us has one.
Yes.
And that then helped me to give birth to Heart Act.
Wow.
And Heart Act has developed over the years, over the months, and it is now going to be the best it's ever been, because we now have Heart Act Theatropy, which marries together holistic strategies with the essence and inspiration of the theatrical world. Because every single day we step out onto our own life stage. We write our own life script. But we can take that life script and change it anytime we want, numerous times. We do not have to stay as it's written. We do not have to act it out as it is written. If it is not serving us well, we can rewrite our life script. We are our own director, because we take ourselves down the directions that we go. We can exit stage right, we can enter stage left, we can fall off the stage, as long as we get back up again and learn from it. The characters in our lives are all of the people that come in and out of our lives. And if there are people in your life who are not serving you well, who are stopping you from moving forward, talk to them. And if they are not willing to compromise or move with you, then they don't have a place on your stage. Now, that can sound very harsh and very difficult for people to comprehend. But there were times in my life when I had to do that.
Wow.
Because I realized that this was what was needed for me to move forward.
Wow.
Wow. There are props in our lives that are holding us back. And Heart Act Theatropy helped to terminate those props. So we help terminate stress, anxiety, depression, overwhelm, all those things that are keeping us stuck, trauma, whatever it is that is in your life that is stopping you shining on your life stage. And that's what it's all about. And it's now at the point that I've been dreaming of for so long. I've actually now got it, and it's all coming together.
Wow.
So, I
awesome.
take people on that journey to remove all of the things that are stopping them being their own leading lady or own leading man.
Wow. I love that. That's the first time I've heard of that.
I know.
So I'm like listening to you like this, even though my camera's all acting wonky all of a sudden. I don't know why. But I was just like, oh, wow, that's really cool. That is really cool. And I love how you put the analogy of, our life is a stage and we are on the stage all the time. And I totally 100% agree. It's because, we have to, we're not in the backstage unless you want to be, but most people probably want to have, to go out there, talk with people and understand that, our purpose.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to realize what my purpose was. And it took that character to acknowledge me in the hair salon to be like, you know what, this is my purpose. purpose is to empower women. My purpose is to encourage women and let them know that they are a lot stronger than they think they are. And oh my gosh, that and your story, your journey. I mean, I know there's so much more we could dive into, it's like, but we're so limited in time, but I mean, it's almost like you have a book coming out.
I do have a book coming out.
So tell us, Debbie, like you have accomplished so much in building your inner strength that now you have a book coming out. So tell us about this book that's coming out.
Okay. The book that's coming out first, I have actually written two. But the one that's coming out first is the book called Alive to Thrive. Failing Suicide Gives You the Gift of Life. That book was actually, it actually came to me in a dream. I had a dream 5 years ago that I would bring together myself with other women who had failed suicide and are now thriving in life. And it's taken me 5 years to accomplish that. And I have 9 amazing women, 10 including myself, who have shared their journeys on, the failing of the suicide, how they overcame that, and how they are now thriving in life. And it covers a wide range of causes or reasons for the suicide, from sex trafficking to prostitution to addiction.
Wow.
To child abuse, domestic abuse, both physical and mental. It's possibly a heavy read, but it's a read that is needed in today's society.
Yes.
It is a book. The vision I have for the book is that it will be out there in libraries, in schools, in colleges, in organizations, so that we can prevent suicide. And it's to show that suicide is not the answer. That you do have a purpose on this earth and your life is priceless.
Wow.
Absolutely priceless.
Wow. That is amazing. Like I know that you and I have talked about like doing stuff like for your book, but like as someone who, did the attempt when I was younger and it didn't, I didn't succeed, but like, it's amazing. And look, it's like now we're here to share the stories of how we have built ourselves up to be this version of ourselves, but there's more.
Yeah.
There is more.
Absolutely.
There is more. So, oh my gosh. And did you say you have the second one coming out?
Yes. The second one was actually written before we started on this, but this was, because it was my dream, I've held back on the other one. And the other one, because the other one's very much a self-help book.
Mm-hmm.
It does have a bit of my story at the beginning, but
Okay.
it's about the techniques and strategies that I used and I've developed and I've built on through my transformation, and that's called Freedom to Be.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So Debbie, while we're wrapping up here, like how do people get a hold of you?
They can find me. Yeah, they can find me on my website, which is www.heartact.co.uk. You can find me on Facebook under, just look for Debbie Debonair. But also I have a group on Facebook called the Freedom to Be You Movement. Yeah. And you can also find me on LinkedIn under Debbie Debonair. You can find me on Instagram under Heart Act Approach. So yeah, or you can, private message me anywhere and I will get back in touch with you straight away.
Oh my gosh.
For anyone who
that's
needs any
amazing.
guidance.
You are an amazing woman, Debbie. I'm so glad that you're hopping on the Standing in Strength Summit too, because, it was, like getting to know you from my first, from getting to know you to now, I think your journey is so powerful and so inspiring to so many people to find that inner strength, to find that strength. And now it ties into your business to help others.
Yeah.
And that is, those pillars of the Strong and Mighty Company, that positivity, confidence, and community. That is so huge, not just for me, but for the vision of how I feel like I want to put the, out into the world. So thank you so much for hopping on, and I'll make sure to put all your information onto the Strong and Mighty page, just so, just for reference, to make sure people can get a hold of you.
Oh, bless you. Thank you, Lonnie. It's been an absolute pleasure being part of this amazing summit that you've created. In fact, it's been an honor and a privilege, that you asked me to be part of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much, Debbie. So you have a wonderful afternoon, right?
Evening.
You have a wonderful evening, and I will make sure we connect very soon so we can continue your story, because I feel like we have so much more we can talk about. So
yeah, absolutely. You have a fantastic rest of your day and a fabulous weekend to yourself and to all of your audience.
Thank you, Debbie. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry I'm over time, but she had an amazing story, amazing journey that I wanted to make sure that you guys can all hear the value, understanding that suicide is not the answer, that reach out, because there are 1,000 bajillion people on this world that can be a resource, that can be a helpful hand. So don't be afraid to ask for any kind of assistance or anything like that. So again, thank you very much for being part of the first session of the Standing in Strength Summit number 2. I am your host, Larnie Mulvey, the Power Lady, bringing together a lot of these power speakers and having them share their powerful and amazing strength stories. So this is all the information for Issa. The video that I recorded with her will be on the Strong and Mighty page. So make sure you guys come back here this afternoon for the second session, starting at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we have so many other speakers again as well. So hop back on, and I will talk to you guys all soon. I'll see you this evening. Have a wonderful afternoon. See you guys.